to prayer. Istanbul is being summoned. First one voice, then 3, then 100. So there's no getting away from it. And in the first few centuries of Islam, the call was made from wherever was handy, an open window, a parapet, a balcony. So the minaret is a relatively late addition to Islamic architecture. And today, the loudspeaker has done away with any real need for it. But the minaret remains such a key ingredient of the mosque's identity that you can't really see anyone phasing them out. Istanbul minarets are extra thin, super pointy, like sharpened pencils. But it's not really this quiver of pointy minarets that defines the Islamic contribution to this relentlessly exciting city. The shape that best captures the spirit of Istanbul is, of course, the dome. Nothing in architecture is quite as awe-inspiring as an impossibly lofty dome. Defying gravity, floating miraculously. And Istanbul is packed with them. The greatest ensemble of extra-large domes in existence, every one of them trying to be the biggest. In the centre of Istanbul, at the heart of the city, there is this great standoff between two macho domes, glaring across at each other like a pair of heavyweight boxers at a weigh-in. The sense of confrontation here is so obvious, it's almost amusing. In the red corner, we have Hagia Sophia, a Christian church originally, built in the 6th century. And with its height, its ambition, the conquest here of physics, this is, without a shadow of doubt, one of the 4 or 5 most significant buildings ever erected. To have achieved this in the 6th century defies belief. But then, in the other corner, you have the Blue Mosque, built 1,000 years later by the Ottoman Sultan Ahmed I, but determined, you sense, to outdome Hagia Sophia, to match the ancient Christians, and indeed, to beat them. Ah yes, the Ottomans. You were wondering when we'd get to them, weren't you? Even the most chronic sufferer from dynasty fatigue will always stir at the sound of the Ottomans. These conquerors of Istanbul were such showy showmen. When I was 18 or so, studying art history, I came here on an official student trip. And in front of this thing, the famous Topkapi dagger, I suffered an attack of Stendhal syndrome. It's a proper illness, an actual physical reaction, diagnosed by doctors. You feel dizzy, disorientated. Some people actually faint and fall over, literally knocked out by the power of art. In my experience, Islamic art encourages this heavyweight dizziness more fiercely than any other artistic tradition. And the strong room of the Topkapi Palace, where the treasures of the Ottomans are kept, is a dangerous place for the Stendhal sufferer. This is the Tugra, the official signature of the grandest of the Ottoman sultans, Suleiman the Magnificent. There's a world within a world in there, a cosmos within a cosmos. a garden within a garden. Not bad, eh, for a king's autograph. They say Istanbul is built on 7 hills, but that wasn't enough for the Ottomans, so they added these other ones. It took 100 years for an architectural hero to emerge in Istanbul capable of taking on the early Christians at dome building and beating them. His name was Mimar Sinan. They say he was born in 1493 in Christian Armenia, taken forcibly as a slave, converted to Islam, which he then embraced so keenly. Allah repaid Sinan's faith in him by letting him live to be 100. He worked for 3 Ottoman sultans and was staggeringly productive. He built at least 100 mosques in Istanbul, and around 30 of them are still standing. This is the mightiest of Sinan's Istanbul mosques. Started in 1550 on the excited orders of Suleiman the Magnificent, the Suleimani Mosque was finished in just 7 years. It's more of a landscape feature than a building, a man-made cluster of mini mountains, rising, rising, rising to that Everest in the middle. It isn't just the size of this mosque that fills you with awe, it's the mood too. It makes you feel all floaty, as if your heart's been pumped up with helium. It's a narcotic experience. You're high on the art of the Ottomans. Their domes are very different from European domes. St. Paul's in London or St. Peter's in Rome go like that. They're melon-shaped. But these Ottoman domes are much flatter. They're like the top of a flying saucer. They make the whole space enclose you and seem somehow circular, as if the entire building is one gigantic dome. To pay for its upkeep, the Great Mosque was given the income of 217 of Suleiman's villages and a couple of his islands. And Suleiman also had Sinan build a selection of funding enterprises around the corner, including a Turkish bath, in which Suleiman had his own cubicle, and so did Sinan. The Ottomans built 150 or so Turkish baths. So many, they created a city-wide water shortage. Cleanliness was a fetish, so potent in Ottoman Istanbul that it had a special school of poetry devoted to it. I'm afraid my Turkish isn't up to translating it for you. Instead, a few words from Philip Larkin seem appropriate. If I were called in to construct a religion, I should make use of water. Going to church would entail affording to dry different clothes. My liturgy would employ images of sousing, a furious, devout drench. And I should raise in the east a glass of water where any angled light would congregate endlessly.